Lately, I've been very tired of the hustle and bustle in the morning, going to work. There's a crowd of people on the bus and in the subway. It's even worse at work. Then customers get annoyed. Then an eternally dissatisfied boss. It's even harder to return home. Traffic jams and tired, angry people are all around. My husband and I are so tired of all this, so we decided to take a week off at our own expense. First, we thought about going to the sea, but as we imagined that we would again be among a large number of people at the airport, we changed our minds. Plus, flight delays often happen. They can also lose a suitcase. No, at that moment I wanted something completely different. I wanted to relax. We started looking for different options on the internet. We were interested in a beautiful pond house. In the description on the site, it was written that the house is very cozy. There is a clean pond nearby where you can fish. Fishing rods will be provided. The house is suitable for people who want privacy with nature, because this house is located in the middle of a dense forest. There are no people or other houses around. They also promise fresh air since the house is far from cities. For the same reason, there is completely no connection. And the internet. The organizers of such a holiday promise a complete information detox. After reading the description on the website, we decided that this was exactly our option. The only house was very far away to go 700 kilometers, but my husband said that this was not a problem, and we would safely drive by car. We booked it for 3 days extra. This is exactly what we need, a full reboot. The next day we packed our suitcase. This is probably the best moment on vacation. You know that you still have many wonderful days. On the day of departure before the trip, we stopped at the store and bought a lot of food and goodies. On the way to the house, we drove through beautiful, endless fields, listened to our favorite songs, arrived at the place by 6 p.m. Only unfortunately in there was nothing but the forest at the specified point. Fortunately, the network was catching there and we called the number that was indicated on the website. A man picked up the phone and asked where we were. We tried to explain our location to him and he somehow understood where we were, saying that my husband and I would soon be very unhappy. Why we should to sit in the car and wait for someone to lose your personal time, due to the fact that someone could not specify the correct address on the site. After 10 minutes, a car drove up to us. A man of medium height with glasses got out of it. We also got out. "Hello, my name is Dennis. This is you. We booked a house." We replied that yes, fine, follow me. It's not far here. "But why didn't you immediately indicate the correct place on the map?" I asked. "You know, there are wild places here, very poor communication and a lot of forks." We used to specify the correct address, but almost all the guests were lost and angry. Because of this, they left us very bad reviews. We had to change the site and now specify another place for your safety. Believe me, it's much better with an escort. The answer completely satisfied us. We went to the cars. After driving for 10 minutes along a straight road, we turned into the forest. Dina stopped the car and came to our window. "Then the road will not be easy to get the car dirty in the ground. If you want, you can leave it here and I will take you to my house. Don't worry about the car, it's completely safe here." "No, we'd better follow you." "I won't leave the car here alone," my husband said, and we drove along a very bad blurred road to immediately dirty the windows with mud. My husband began to get angry for a long time. We drove after Dennis. Thoughts constantly crept into my head that we were being taken to the wilderness, where organ sellers would be waiting for us. My husband also did not like it all, but it was dangerous to go back. It was easy for fornication. He even blinked his headlights to Dennis stopped, but he kept moving. There was nowhere to go, so we followed him after moving to a new city. I was faced with the fact that I was bored. I really didn't have enough new acquaintances and I really wanted to go to the cinema. Besides, a new horror film was recently released that I want to see, but unfortunately there is no one to go with. It would be great to find a person with similar hobbies. But one thing is scary: to go to a horror movie and walk alone is already bored. Where to find a person under the shower on the street is not an option. Firstly, you will not immediately understand how much a person shares views and tastes. and you need to spend a lot of time figuring out secondly. It can even be dangerous, but where to find like-minded people with interests and hobbies. Oh, how timely, and I did not immediately remember about VK Dating as a service for finding romantic and friendly relationships. Here you can find a couple thanks to the new section of the collection. You can find travel lovers, creative personalities, animal lovers, outdoor enthusiasts, and other categories. And this is great, because it is common interests that bring together. I choose people who watch movies, and I'm looking for the same horror lover as me. VK Acquaintance, the largest application, is used by more than 3 million users every month. And it is clear why. Because the application interface is very convenient, and the fact that the application quickly selects people with similar interests increases the chances of MCHO. I have already found my perfect match, and the other day I'm going to watch a cool horror movie in the cinema. I advise you to download the VK Dating application from the link in the description, or by using the QR code on the screen, and find your ideal match of interests. After 40 minutes, the house from the site finally appeared. Dina stopped and got out of the car we parked in the next place when suddenly a tire burst. My husband started to swear, and we got out of the car. Dina stood with a smile. "Oh, you were unlucky. You ran over a carnation. I hope you have a spare tire." It was clear that my husband was on the verge of sending him, but I knew that we did not have a spare wheel, so it was not worth arguing with. "Dinis, okay, don't worry. Tomorrow I will send you our mechanic and he will do everything," Dinis said. We thanked him. He gave us the keys, told us where everything was located, and left. God, hooray. We were left alone and there was no one in the area. We went to inspect the territory. After going around the house, we were upset when we saw the pond. It was a completely overgrown swamp. And not a pond, there was a toilet next to it on the street. It was terrible to go outside every time you need. Especially in rain. My husband went to the toilet and opened the door. I even felt the stench coming from him from afar. Upon entering the house, I felt a stale, unpleasant smell. Turning on the light, we saw that dust was everywhere. It did not match the photos. The dishes in the kitchen were also all dirty. The only thing that calmed down the bed linen was fresh. To be honest, I wanted to leave as soon as possible with such disrespect for the guests we had never encountered before. And well, we got into a hole. My husband said, "Well, it's okay. Even though everything is against us, the main thing is that the two of us have a roof over our heads and we have a lot of goodies with us. Let's do the dishes and I'll cook blue firewood for now. Then I'll make a delicious barbecue." My husband's words calmed me down and encouraged me. By taking water from the well, I started washing dishes. My hands were falling off from the cold. Meanwhile, my husband lit a fire before we put the dishes in the dishes. I went to warm my hands at the grill. Finally, it was a great time. We were sitting together, of course a little creepy because it was already dark, but the aroma of a delicious barbecue and bright burning coals calmed down. After cooking the meat, we went into the house. I put food on plates and my husband lit the fireplace. Then we sat down at the table and started a delicious meal. Overeaten, they were not signed. My husband took one of them and inserted it into the player. The video started. There was a young couple who was standing in the same room where we were when suddenly the window broke. A man with a knife got out of it. For a second, another man came into the room with a knife. Then they brutally killed the young people. What we saw shocked me. My husband also began to get nervous. He inserted another tape. There were other people on the video. They were also killed in the same room. "Let's leave from here," I said. "We'll drive slowly to the wheel anyway." My husband agreed with me and began to get dressed. Suddenly someone started knocking on the front door. I immediately jumped up and ran to the kitchen for a knife, and my husband went to the door. "Who's there?" my husband asked. The knock stopped. "Just don't open the door," I said. I was shaking all over when suddenly the knock sounded again. They were so strong that it seemed that the door would not hold, so my husband began to hold it. Then the knock sounded behind me in the window. Out of surprise, I dropped the knife. At that moment, the light turned off, the knock stopped, I began to shout at the whole house so that they, my husband, ran up to me and tried to calm me down. When we came to our senses, we began to think about how many of them there were. By knocking and video, we realized that 2 men were doing it. I understood that at any moment they could break in here. On the backside of the house, unpleasant creaks were heard, as if the glass was scratching. Then we realized that we had the opportunity to run outside while they were on the other side of the house. We quietly opened the front door and ran as fast as we could towards the forest. The sounds of broken glass were heard from behind. They entered the house, but thank God we were already on the street. We did not have time to run far when from another man appeared behind the tree. He had a long knife in his hand. My husband and I ran in different directions. The man ran after my husband. I ran deep into the forest. After a while, I noticed how they tried to chase me. I saw lanterns in the dark and I managed to escape from them as far as possible to get out of the forest. Only after 2 days, people had already helped me there and called an ambulance. When a policeman came to the hospital, I told him everything. They started looking for the website on which we had booked accommodation, but it had already been deleted. They also tried to find that house, but also found nothing as a result of coming to the conclusion that I made everything up and killed my husband myself. I sobbed and tried to explain to them that they were very wrong. But no one believed me. I thought that if they had found my husband's body, they would definitely have put me in jail, but without him they had to leave me alone for a month. I lived in not knowing what happened to my husband. Did he manage to escape a month later? I found a USB flash drive in my mailbox at home with shaking hands. I inserted it into the computer, started with a video on which my husband was painfully killed. I looked at it and cried, hoping that his torment would stop when he died. The frame changed on the dark screen, the inscription, "Soon he will be found and you will be put in jail." Then an ominous laugh started, and the inscription files deleted appeared. I went to the police again, but the data on the flash drive was erased beyond recovery. I told them about what was on those videos, but no one believed me. Now I'm sitting and thinking about what to do and where to run.